Let's talk a little bit about choices and responsibility today. Sometimes we get ourselves into situations where we overextend ourselves and realize we bit off a little bit too much, more than we can chew. Let me give you a case in point. Last week I received a call from a girlfriend of mine, and she is trying to assist someone who is temporarily incapacitated. So she's taking on the housework, the errand running, as well as some of the computer work and some of the finances. She called me one day last week and asked me if I could assist. I told her I had to check my schedule. By the time I picked up the phone, I could feel the tension in her voice. She was really stressed out. So I'm the type of person, I'm willing to help if I have the extra time. But if I'm not sure, I don't commit until I check. So when I told her that I had to check my schedule, she started to get really irritated. And I think what it was is that she was frustrated and wanted to take it out on someone. I can't wholeheartedly remember what she said for the whole 30-second rant that she had. But I've kindly waited for her to finish. And I told her, I said, I will check my schedule. I said, either that's going to have to be good enough or it's not. Well, I'll go ahead and handle it all myself. I'll do it anyway. I'm doing it anyway. So I hung up and I thought about it. See, when she told me that, my instinct kicked in right away. I had that gut feeling the minute she told me she was involved in this person's life. That gut feeling, that little instinct, that little word came in my ear and told me, you know what, something's not right about this. So I waited a little while and I called her back. And I said, have you cooled off yet? And she started laughing and she said, yeah. And she started talking about how she was overextended with all the other things in her life. So my first question was this: why did you take on this responsibility? Well, I've known her for years and I'm going to care for her and everything else. And I asked her, I said, well, what's the family situation in regards to her? I said, like you said, she's temporarily incapacitated. Does she have any family members here? And she said, yeah. She said her whole family's here. I said, so you don't find it rather strange that you're the only person that's not even related that has to come help her out and nobody in her family has? I said, there's nobody in her family that's willing to help her out? Do they even know that she's temporarily incapacitated? All I got was silence. And she said, leave it up to you to ask a whole bunch of questions. I said, no, the reason why I say that is because I remember when I used to be in the rehab and in the homeless shelters, and I would be around people, they would have these stories about how nobody would help them. And then after thorough investigation, come to find out that they lived right in that town and their whole family was there. But they burnt so many bridges that nobody had anything to do with them. I said, so that's the reason why I'm wondering. Have you checked with any of the family members? Do they know what's going on? She said, no. I said, well, I strongly suggest before you do anything else that you get in contact with the family members. I said, you might find out what the true story is. I said, because I don't want you to be held responsible for any mishaps. And the minute that something goes wrong with this person, this so-called family that hasn't been in the picture, all of a sudden they're going to have something to say, and you're going to wind up in hot water. And she said, thank you very much. I said, but do me a favor. And she said, what's that? I said, slow down. I said, if you take on a responsibility, remember, it's your responsibility. And I said, and it's not your place to go out and ask other people to help you with something that they've had no say-so in. I said, I love you, and I'll let you go. And the lesson of that is that, like I said before, we have a tendency to bite off more than we can chew. But if you decide to take on something, you have to understand that is your responsibility. And for you to go ahead and ask other people to help you with something that you knew that was too much in the first place, don't assume that they're going to do it just because they care about you. They may have other things to do. And if they do, it has nothing to do with you personally. It's just that other people have lives too. So don't take offense if they're not available. They didn't vote in as to whether or not they should get involved with this. They didn't have a say-so. They weren't involved in the decision-making process when you took this task on. Sometimes people will say yes. Sometimes people will say no. Everybody has a life of their own. So I wished her well and that I would talk to her. We talk every week. So far, so good. I haven't heard anything yet. Just saying.